my stuff.
Gotta get your cup.
Gotta get my cup.
Gotta get your cup. So this is our first one.
First one.
We're gonna keep changing our voice for our podcast
Make
voice.
a late night radio talk show host voice.
Is it weird starting your first
It's weird.
one?
It's weird starting the first one.
Okay. Well, so we're starting our first one.
But why?
But why, right?
Why? Why does the world need another relationship podcast?
Right. So here's what I wanted to say. I was kind of thinking about this. Well, I have to address the why for the people, right? I like you and I spend a lot of time talking in general.
We do.
So we like talking already. And then naturally I think it just transitions itself, right? Well, to like it shouldn't be wasted. It shouldn't be wasted on us. In fact, we ourselves forget what we talk about half of the time.
Right. This way I can go back and listen to my own pearls of wisdom. Really, your pearls of wisdom.
Yeah. Obviously. I will marry that one. Yeah, no, so the goal, right? The goal of the podcast is so our relationship has been weird.
You can say that.
We've been married for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's been great. If you look at it as an overarching place of where we are right now.
Right.
But it could have been different.
Could have been different.
Right. Lots of points of turmoil. And so because of that, right, because I'm swallowing, I don't even know if that's like hearable there or not. But because of that, like makes you evaluate like what could have been done, what could have been changed, right? And so from the overarching standpoint, you spiritually, right, you can say, oh no, nothing needed to be changed because everything was perfect. But having said that, right. We're still going through it. And so we're still like discovering stuff and then
about ourselves
and discovering things about a relationship. And then like now in hindsight, going, oh, we could have just done this or we could have done that.
Right. And almost as a lesson's the wrong word. Pearls of wisdom to people who might be going through something similar or who want to avoid going through something similar. Like,
yeah, but I think it turns out everyone we talk to is going through something like this.
Yeah.
Like I think we're all quite literally going through the same thing. Maybe the nuance and the details are different, but COVID brought on a slew of divorces. But honestly, it just brought on a slew of uproaring of your inner self that instead of being addressed, ended up being a divorce.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't think my goal is to actually save people from divorces. That is not what I like. Right. I'm not against divorces, but at the same time, I think majority of our relationships are savable and can be saved. Not because that is the end goal, because you are together for a reason. And then that reason probably to begin with started, let's say, on good circumstances.
Yeah.
Caveat, right? But if you didn't get together for the right reason, or if you're currently in an abusive relationship, that does not apply to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I think that takes care of the why. And so I think I wanted to be honest.
Yeah. Honesty is good.
No, but I say that knowing what that will bring up between you and I.
Yeah. All the
like, right. So
all the stuff.
Yeah. But things that you and I still, right, like we can talk about it to each other in private and it's comfortable because we have spent so much time going through it. But then might not be as comfortable in this format. But having said that, it is uncomfortable because somehow your body still perceives it as being taboo or being wrong or being right. There's still pain body behind it.
Yeah.
And so the reason why it's completely uncomfortable, completely not comfortable, it is because you're still budging against the fact that even is your truth.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this like, it's a stuck energy in there.
Yeah.
About something in the past or, coulda, shoulda, woulda, or
Shame.
And there's
Shame.
a lot of shame.
I think, but that's the thing. I think it's the shame that causes us to go within and not allow our truth to flow. Right?
Yeah.
And so then we're just broken. Not that broke. I'm not judging, right? I'm not saying that broken is wrong. We're supposed to be broken so that we can find ourselves through that brokenness. But then the process of that finding is, yesterday we brought this up, it's so difficult. It is so difficult to find yourself, or much less than on top of that, fix your marriage, right? Or have your family be in balance.
Right. And doing all of that at the same time. Finding yourself, fixing yourself, fixing your marriage. Got some kids in there too.
Yeah.
It could be a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if we need to bring up the kids or so we have 2 kids.
2 kids?
2 kids, high schooler and an elementary schooler. They will be part of the conversation, I'm sure. And as they're listening to this when they grow up, they'll be rolling their eyes like, what the heck?
Dad.
Why did you have to say that? That is our son's voice.
That's not true. That's our dog's voice, is what it is.
Oh, no, that is true. Dog, I guess. Oh my gosh, this probably gets warm when you hold it.
Not my. Oh, I'm using the wrong cup.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, no.
I like that cup.
I brought the other cup. Oh well.
Yeah. So that that was more than enough an explanation of the why.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to the why?
No.
No, it already feels good.
It feels good. Half a warning to future generations, and half a way that I can look back and remember your pearls of wisdom.
When I'm dead?
No, when I've forgotten them tomorrow.
Yeah, no, this is what I was saying that I wanted to extrapolate on. Right, everyone who talked to who has went through a divorce already, right? And then everyone who's and then we hear of so many people who are actively struggling, like in that decision process of do I not, or maybe divorce is like almost not even an option based on their religious belief. But meanwhile, they're stuck in a terrible situation.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not, condoning divorce, or wait, what's the opposite? Encouraging divorce or condoning it. Either way.
It's the right thing for some people some of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as you go through the relationship, right, as you and I were trying to fix our relationship, what we also came to realize that if this fixing, right, actually leads to divorce, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Right. You almost have to kind of surrender.
Yeah. And that was a hard thing for me to accept.
Yeah.
It was hard to accept that possibility, A, was possible, and B, would be okay. And I would live, and you would live, and the kids would live, and everybody would still be alive. And, very possibly for the better. Who knows? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. But, well, you know what? That's something that we should address if we're not addressing it right now. Just because you have attachment issues.
I have a lot of attachment issues. I have attachment issues, and I'm like a compulsive people pleaser too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm writing it down as a note, just so if we don't address it in this one, that might be its own episode. And just attachment style. Yeah, right. So based on why you got into a relationship to begin with, and then why are you staying?
Yeah.
Right. That could be a clue within itself of the some of the things that need to get addressed. Right. But I do think we need to address that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because to start with, I guess, should we start with just our own story? Does that feel right?
Well, we could just have that as the intro episode, if you want, or we can keep going as one big episode.
Oh no, I think it should just be continuing an episode.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, because that was like 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think 10 minutes will like.
Some people have 10-minute intro episodes.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I guess we could cut it, or we can continue. But I think the transition is. I think this is a great transition. Is maybe dig into the depth of our shit,
our history.
Yeah.
Okay.
And why? And I guess maybe with the outlook of here's where we were, and then I know it's 20 years worth of it, but like in the brushstrokes, but at the same time with a nuance of details that will kind of paint the picture, right? But okay, maybe I should say this, but at the same time, when you enter into a marriage, right? Yeah, this is probably at the core of it. Oh yeah, okay. When you enter into the marriage, you're almost entering into a marriage based on your personal pain body.
Yeah, any relationship, really.
Yeah,
not just marriage.
Yeah. So that's the key is, right? So I will touch on the spiritual aspects of it because it is a spiritual oriented podcast, I guess. Or is it spiritual? That's not the goal.
It will,
but that is.
It will touch on that.
Yeah, it will kind of get there. And so the essence of your marriage, really at the core, is that you are being drawn into by default. I think I'll just go into the spiritual aspect of it right from the beginning, because then everything else is just kind of an outflow of it. You are drawn into someone by default because they will be the best challenge for you to find yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you're drawn to someone, you're attracted to them for a number of reasons, but at a spiritual level, I think your soul and their soul are like, hey, we're gonna really push each other's buttons. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah. Well, it's not even the pushing each other's buttons. You might even seem on the surface to be very compatible with each other.
Yeah.
Which we are.
Yeah. No, it has nothing to do with compatibility. It's like
the pain body buttons.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. The buttons that you're hiding from yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The shit that you don't know that is there will come up because this person is in such way or designed in such ways that this relationship will bring out of you. But in truth is, you will just take that internal pain body and you will start bouncing it off of your spouse.
Your spouse's pain body.
Oh, the pain body is just kind of like the best icing on the cake. Yeah. So
bounce back and forth off each other.
Yeah. So you're actually, it's almost like you starting a relationship and you think you're starting it with this other human being. You think that, like we actually think that, like, oh, look, I'm in a relationship now. And so therefore there's this other person. But the truth is you're just continue to live your own one-sided pain body. And this other person just becomes your target.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not necessarily target for the worse, right? Target both for the worse and for the better.
Yeah. And it just really comes, I mean, I think we do that with all relationships in our lives, even, with your brothers and sisters and with our parents and with, friends and everything. But when you are in a married relationship and you spend a lot of time together, and that's the one that just where it really is the most visible and the most impactful, because, nobody really knows you better than your spouse, I assume.
In the ideal situation, yeah.
In the ideal situation.
Well, but then also, let's be realistic. You're locked up in the box with them.
Yeah.
At least half of your day, right? So by default, you're locked with them.
Right.
But that's the whole point of marriage is you're locked with them.
I mean, ideally, you're locked there with someone that you want to be locked with.
But
ideally.
But you and I were there with someone that we want to be locked with, and yet we were still in that position.
Yeah.
Right. And the COVID, instead of having half of your day being locked there, you were locked in them 24/7. So
and we work together, so we are locked together 24/7.
Yeah, we work together. So outside of our podcasting endeavors and everything else that we do, we also have a full-time job together. I say full-time, but there's a lot of
multiple full-time jobs.
Multiple full-time jobs together. Yeah.
One more full-time job here.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it applies to all relationships. So even though this is a relationship podcast, and then you and I are a married couple, and we will be addressing this from the marriage standpoint, this applies to everything.
Yeah, I mean, good friends, it would apply to that too.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, you're right. Like siblings, parents. It's just that's just the essence of
children.
Children, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
grandparents.
That's another thing that I wanted to point out. One of the major reasons I'm starting this is one, our son is of an age where he's starting to have more in-depth relationship with people around him, right? As you hit your teenage years, you're out there looking for relationships, deeper relationships, just scratch friends on surface. And so I'm he will not like this, but I am wanting to have this out there because it will be extremely helpful for anyone new who's starting a relationship to start it from the right foot.
Right. I know he rolls his eyes when he hears us talk about it and everything, but
yeah,
it's like,
but
oh my
like
gosh, if I could hear this when I was younger, but I know how stubborn I was, and I would have just said, oh, this is a bunch of baloney.
But I think if I could have
internalized this for real when I was younger, it would have made a world of difference.
But I think you younger 30 years ago were not the same caliber of kids that are out there right now.
No, I mean, that's true too.
Right?
That's true too.
Right. As his friends come into our home and we have these deeper conversations, they get it.
They do get it. I'm amazed because I'm like, oh my gosh, you couldn't talk about this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It would have been like too personal and too almost taboo, and like it wouldn't have been a thing to talk about.
Yeah, but I think energetically we were just not a match for that type of in-depth discovery 30 years ago.
Yeah. Society?
Yeah, let's say society. Or maybe yeah, like maybe and this was going to be slightly more esoteric, but I might as well get into it. Calibrationally, the frequency of our being was not in tune with more in-depth study or more in-depth knowledge, right? What do they call them? I'm trying to bring in like a spiritual standpoint into more of a mainstream, but they call them indigo children, right? The children that are just different, right? And then, at some point people looked at them and they're like, oh, well, they're special and whatever. But in truth is, we all have that capability within us at this point. And all generations forward, even like, I don't even know what generation Aiden would be, but his generation already has that in. So the kids who are born in early 2000s and on for sure have it. I know that. But even in the 90s, I think, right? There's this transitional period to where maybe some people had it right from the beginning, but now even older adults are kind of in that same position.
Yeah. And societally, it's now okay to talk about mental health. It's okay to talk about relationships. It's okay to talk about, you name it. It's all okay. It's not just like hidden in shame like it was growing up for me. It was just like growing up, there was just, oh, you don't talk about that. You don't talk. Oh, you're feeling sad. We don't talk about that. You just don't talk about it. That was just hammered into me, and I imagine it's hammered into a lot of people. Maybe even still to this day, but hopefully less so than before.
Yeah, but that's a good starting point, right? So when you and I got married, that was our starting point. Guess what? You have feelings? No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You want to talk about something? No, you don't.
Yeah, that's the story of my life growing up.
Yeah. And so I grew up, I don't even know if I saw my parents talk a lot. I saw them yell a lot, but I don't know if I saw them talk a lot. But my idea of a relationship that worked, regardless of how I was brought up, was you talk. Guess what? You talk. Now, I do know that is something that women tend to do a lot more. Like women want to talk. But I'm not saying it from the standpoint of judgment here, but women want to talk because they know that talking leads to resolution. And men, in general, I'm generalizing here, tend to shy away from feelings.
Yep.
At least older men, right? Men who grew up like in your age group and younger and older.
Yeah.
But younger men tend to be more open to it, I think, in general. Because I think we are now primed for discovery, like for self-awareness. And so the reason why so many marriages are imploding right now is because the feelings are coming up. Your self-discovery is coming up.
Yeah. I mean,
and then the easiest place for it to implode is the first thing is marriage.
yeah. I mean, it's something that like once you realize that, you're like, oh, I've always felt that. I've always kind of known that this is there or this is an issue deep down, but I've never really acknowledged it or dealt with it.
Pain body wise?
Yeah. Or yeah, pain body or yeah, sure.
Issue of like, oh, I don't talk about things.
Yeah.
I have feelings, but I don't talk about them.
I have feelings, but I don't talk about things. But that quickly turns into, I don't have feelings. You can just convince yourself, I don't have feelings. I'm not sad. I'm not upset. I'm not anxious. You are anxious. That's in there.
Yeah.
I was anxious.
Yeah.
To a degree, I'm still anxious. It's less than before, but I'm, it's in there. But now I can feel it. And I'm like, oh, okay, there's anxiety kicking up. But for the vast majority of my life, it was there and it was causing the physiological damage and symptoms. But I didn't have a vocabulary for it because I had purposely gone, nope, I don't feel that. I don't feel anything.
Yeah. It's on a larger scale, besides the fact that there's just a lot of trapped energy. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we got married, anytime we would have any kind of resolution or any kind of a resolution that I wanted to reach, right? Like don't go to bed angry type of a approach. Obviously it was stirring at my pain body. On my end, it was like, oh, let's get things resolved. Let's bring everything up to the surface. But which to
Right.
you, based on your like, oh, I don't have feelings.
Not only that,
I don't know what to do. That's radical.
I mean, there was that, and I saw it all as a personal attack to some degree, where, it was, you would say something and, right or wrong, that doesn't even matter. It was like, it was a shot against me, and I didn't deal well with that. It was an ego thing. Ego. Yeah. So that was a honestly fairly recent realization, was that it's not all it's not all about me, and B, people can say something or criticize something, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter in a like, well, at all, especially in this cosmic sense. It doesn't matter. I'll be mad at you for this or that, and it's not a shot against you. If it's upsetting me, that says more about me than it does about you. And if what I'm doing is upsetting you, that says more about you than it does about me. Now, there are things that I can do that would upset anybody. I could, I don't know, you name it. I could
club a seal.
I could go clubbing baby seals. That'll upset basically anyone, I hope. But
yeah, but that upsetting usually, right? Like where it truly deeply lies is just the depth of the pain body that
Right.
there's a child.
Right.
The child within wounded by that particular thing, and it's almost never right. It's me saying something superficial about like, oh, you left a water filter can in the sink,
which
right?
I still do on occasion.
Right. That's so
Right.
with me, right? Like, oh, well, anytime I'm feeling slightly anxious, my pain body is, oh, I have to have things clean.
Right.
And so like the sink being clean, I have known this for years and years before I even started doing any kind of self-awareness work that, a clean sink is kind of like a thing, right? It's like you got to have a clean sink.
Right.
And so you leaving the water filter in the sink triggers my pain body.
Right.
No, of course I can go, oh, Elliot and his water filter, right? But again, it has nothing to do with Elliot and the water filter leaving in the sink. It's just my pain body of like, oh, look, you're anxious right now.
Right. The flip side is, I shouldn't leave it in the sink. It's, as a gesture of respect to you, you've asked me not to leave it in the sink, and I could just take it out of the sink. So there's two sides to that. There's, yes, if me leaving the water filter in the sink bothers you, that is your issue.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as a loving spouse, I can take steps to not do things that I know irritate you.
Yeah, but it should be on me to, right? The truth, the truth behind,
there's both.
Yeah, no, you can be kind, and you can, you
Right.
can almost be compassionate. That's where compassion comes in. You can be compassionate and go, oh, this is a trigger that my wife experiences. Like leaving something in the sink is a trigger for my wife. I can be compassionate and realize that she's going through something right now that is much bigger than a water filter in a sink. But at the same time, you can choose to take it out, and next time not put it in.
Yeah.
But on my end, my responsibility is, in truth, is not to be triggered by the fact that you did that. I mean, that is really at the core of it. It doesn't. Yes, you could choose to be compassionate, or you could choose not to be, but at the depth, right? Anything little that bothers us, like how your husband chews. A lot of people like bring that up, right? Sometimes I'm bothered by the way you chew, but it has nothing to do with the way you chew. It has to do, you're going to start chewing right now. It has to do with, at that moment, you're quite literally irritated about something much, much deeper.
Yeah.
And this thing on the surface is basically kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. This is the straw that is breaking the back.
Yes.
But it is much, much deeper than chewing or the water filters or, clothes by the bedside or anything else little that might bother you in a relationship. No, so on your end, you can choose to be compassionate.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say. A marriage is basically two people getting together and cosmically agreeing to trigger each other.
Yeah.
In order to really get to the root of those triggers, which is the pain body.
Yeah.
And ideally process that out and work through that.
Yeah.
And discover it.
Discover it. But the greatest benefit to it is that if you have a relationship like ours that is willingly and openly, I think we have a friend who's getting ready to join us. I think if you're willing to have a spouse that you're honest with and truthful with, then the benefit of that pain body, right? The benefit to that relationship is both of you can be there for each other, not only to bounce this pain body off of each other, to have it come up to the surface, but then to have conversations like this where
you work through it.
Yeah. Not for the point of the marriage, but to help each other uncover your own bullshit.
Yeah. There's a lot of personal growth that has to go on in a successful relationship, especially a marriage. There's, just staying stagnant is not a good recipe for a marriage. So there has to be personal growth. And on one hand, who better to help you with this than the person that you are spending your life with?
Yeah.
Or a therapist, but
Yeah. If it's not your spouse, if you're not in a position where the spouse can take care of that for you, you could be a therapist. Right. No, but maybe right now, I don't know if I will bring this up right now just because you brought up the therapist. But at the same time, also know the reason why we're doing this is because as we were going through the turmoils of our personal relationship, right? One, I guess to begin with, years and years ago, we tried marriage counseling, meaning like both of us go to a therapist.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out well.
Yeah, I don't know if we got anything out of that.
Yeah, nothing. It was nothing. Like in fact, we were struggling with some pretty major stuff, and like I felt like the therapist actively got uncomfortable with me bringing up like what I was actually struggling with, and I'm like, isn't your goal to like hear everything out and not like actively become uncomfortable? What is it I'm talking about?
If you can make the therapist uncomfortable, as bonus points.
So yeah, I think that this is another reason why we're doing this, and maybe this is great that it came up in the first podcast, is that I dig so deep that I do make people uncomfortable, including therapists.
Sometimes me.
And so, no, usually you, right?
Yeah.
But I think you have like gotten used to it, to where you become, the stamina of you digging so deep is there, right?
Yeah.
But most of the therapists don't even dig deep.
Yeah, I know that therapists have a regimen that they follow as far as diagnostics and treatment and all that. And there's all the different CBT and all those things and maybe they work well for some people. I don't know. I just haven't found anybody that worked well for me.
No, yeah. So yeah, on top of the several marriage therapists that we went through as a married couple back in the olden days, then you, within the recent time frame of like 3 or 4 years.
3
or 4, yeah. 3, maybe 3.
Yeah. And they're all perfectly nice. And here's my people pleaser coming out. I feel like I have to interject that they're all perfectly nice and everything, but they just didn't help me with my issues of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I don't have the people pleasing desires. So I will just go ahead and say it. I think whenever someone is broken themselves, which we all are, I say this being a broken human being myself, and then knowing all 8 billion of us right now are broken, right? It is really difficult to offer help to someone if you are at some point not digging in deep enough on your own end. Right. To say to someone, guess what? You need to dig deeper. You need to unravel. You need to take this and you need to. With me, it's almost intense approach of like you need to grab it by the head and you need to conquer it because this is you. You're lying to yourself and you need to discover your own lies. And so it's very.
Yeah, because you know what it's like. You know what it's like before, during, and I say after as if there is an after, but. Further
it's
during.
Intense.
It's intense and it's hard and it hurts and you're bringing up things that you would rather just forget. But in bringing them up, you see that the way out is through.
Yeah, but the reason why what you're bringing up is this depth of self that you're somehow either hiding from yourself or not wanting to address. And so that depth is never surface deep, right? So I hate to say it, the little surveys that they give you to complete each time you start a new therapist is there to scratch the surface, right? And that scratching the surface is a great way to start looking deep, right? But where the progress actually happens is you're at the point where you want to scream or cry.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. If you're not getting to that point, you're not making progress. It may feel like progress. You can con yourself into, I made all this progress today. And I've done that. I made all this progress today. We talked about this. We talked about that. Yeah, if you're not deeply uncomfortable to the point of screaming and crying, it's probably not really progress.
Yeah.
Which is hard to admit to. Hard to,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because getting to the point of screaming and crying is painful, like literally by definition.
Yeah. Yeah. And the screaming part is probably a distraction. So the crying part is really kind of where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do want to point out, so maybe later we will have an episode where I talk about this. If you are at the point of crying, how about this? No, if you are at the point of wanting to scream, that is usually a blanket response in order not to feel the fact that you want to cry. Right? So, So screaming, one, is a great place to start if you allow yourself to recognize, instead of feeling a feeling, I want to rage so I can hide that feeling. And that's a great place to be, to recognize that you're somewhere close. You're in the proximity of where you need to be.
Anger is the thing that comes up to protect you from the next one down, which is probably fear.
Yeah. And post fear, there's crying.
Yeah. Or maybe shame.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever it is, anger comes up to protect you from what it really is.
Yeah,
and you go, instead of feeling what it really is, you get angry. Angry at the world, angry at yourself, angry at God, angry at your spouse, angry at whatever.
Yeah. No, that was my go-to. Like based on my upbringing, anger, right? It gotten so painful to feel sad and unsafe and hurt and untaken care of for so long that my go-to became anger. because it's an easier emotion to dive into,
right? And
as opposed to feeling what you're actually feeling inside.
Right. And it's, I mean, I don't know if it's applied to you, but anger is almost more socially acceptable. It's like, oh, you can be angry. That's normal. That's maybe it's more for men. Men get angry. Of course, they get angry.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much for women.
No, but I say that, but that was my go-to as a woman. It was anger, right? But I think as a woman, a lot of women, and I noticed this, have the white knight savior complex, especially in the Western culture. Like, I grew up in a Western-ish culture, I guess. But women in general, especially in the United States, have this concept of the man, the Cinderella concepts of like the prince will come and rescue the white knight on the horse, or white knight on the white horse. Is that what the expression? I don't know. Whatever it is, some burly man will come and rescue you from all your troubles, right? And so most of the women, what the burly part?
A burly white man on a white horse. Apparently, if that's your thing.
That's not my thing at all. But that is a lot of people's thing, right? So the idea of that takes care of everything that you're actually holding as your pain body.
Right. You've externalized the solution.
Yeah. Like, guess what? I feel uncomfortable. I feel unsafe. I feel insecure. Not because you're a woman, just because you're a human being who feels all that. This has nothing to do with sexism. Just as a human being, you feel uncomfortable, insecure. And so instead of you addressing that, right, option one, which I see a lot of women go through, is, oh, I will find myself a man that will have a good job, therefore provide stable income, who will take care of me in the burly lumberjack type of a way, right? So you're looking for all these external solutions to the internal problem of your pain body, such as, I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel maybe even self-esteem to take care of myself on my own, and I don't feel worthy, and I don't feel maybe based on your cultural upbringing, I don't feel like this is something that I should be doing, and this is a man's job, whatever, right? Yeah. So that's option one. And then based on my upbringing and how I was raised in Eastern Europe, that was not an option. The women in Ukraine were not brought up to have a man come and save them. That was just not like the country has grown out of that.
Yeah.
You know what? And there you go. I think the reason why the country has grown out of that to a big extent was because during World War II, a lot of men left to fight the war.
Yeah, and so they're left. They have to fend for themselves.
Yeah. So my grandmother, during World War II, was brought up by, guess what? There's no men. Yeah. There's quite literally no men.
It's either done, killed, you do it yourself, or it doesn't get done.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the women almost, with World War I and World War II in Eastern Europe, almost have this rigidness to them because they have to, right? So my upbringing was, oh, there's no white knight on the white horse with burly hair. I don't know.
Burly hair.
Burly hair. I don't know.
A beard, probably.
I don't know. That was not.
Obviously, they would have.
That was not the fairy tale that I was sold. And the fairy tale that I was sold is, guess what? You take care of yourself. You're responsible. There's no one else. And so with me, that pain body, instead of leading you into the savior, rescue complex, leads you into independence and like almost independence to an extreme, right? Self-control, regiment, self-esteem, overcompensation thereof on the opposite end of that, white knight concept.
Yeah.
Maybe by the end of this podcast, I'll get the white knight part right.
Is it a white knight? It's a white horse. I'm still not sure.
I have no idea. You have to look this up, but it is what it is here. So that's the other end of it, right? Is that, I don't know if it applies. I'm sure it applies to some women here, especially, I think it's starting to apply to a lot of women being raised right now, to where, the feminism movement is almost creating that other shift to where, oh, we're no longer dependent on men. We drive our own destiny, right? And so that takes you into my pain body. And that pain body is, instead of addressing the fact that you still feel insecure and small and insignificant and unable, unsafe, maybe even, you overcompensate for it with burliness, with strength, with whatever.
Externally,
yeah, all external, right? As meaning, what I'm trying to say is, as opposed to getting to the point where you're feeling what the truth is at the core that you need to address is, what is my opinion of self, right? Which is what drives self-discovery, right? And so when you get married, right, that is already embedded in you at the core. So let's say even if you decide to get married early in your late teens, right, that's already there.
Yeah.
So by the time you get married, that pain body of self is already running its full course. And so even though you and I got married in our early 20s, we are already well into living our pain body.
Yeah. I mean, some men have the corresponding, I need to be the white knight.
Mm-hmm.
Not the white horse. He doesn't have to be the horse. He has to be the white knight in order to save someone. It's the opposite side of that savior complex is the savior side. And they're out looking for someone to save.
Yeah.
Whether that's someone who's damaged or someone who is in some unfortunate, maybe financial or social situation that they, I can save her, I can bring her out of this.
But women have that too. A lot of women marry men with the idea like, oh, he's not perfect, but guess what? I can fix him.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're right. A lot of women do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, having that complex and at the same time having the other complexes, guess why you want to do that is because you feel that inside.
Yeah.
The reason why burly men want to go and find a damsel in distress is because that is what they want for themselves.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the burly men looking for a damsel in distress are projecting their pain body of, guess what? I don't feel safe. I don't feel worthy. I don't feel strong. Right. And there's this idea that men need to be strong. Right.
Yeah.
And so therefore, because you don't feel that, you almost culturally feel less than the man.
Yeah. And so you have to overcompensate
with
externally.
With burliness and horses.
Get an axe. Wear some flannel.
Gas, flannel, beard. Yeah. Right. So, yeah. And I there you go. I make fun of that, right? I say like, oh, beard is funny, right? But that is a concept too. Like, oh, what? You're a burly man, right? And so a lot of men, I don't know if this is the right time to bring up, but I will. A lot of men almost feel trapped by this idea that they have to be sitting on the white horse with an axe and a flannel shirt with a beard, saving the damsel in distress.
That's what society expects?
Yeah.
Or that's what they think society expects?
Yeah, right. Through their pain body, they have come to believe that is what they need to do in order to make themselves fit.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you got to fit.
Yeah, you got to fit in.
What happens if you don't fit?
Right. Yeah. And so we spend a lot of time chasing our identity in external nuances, right? In like, oh, I will do this because it communicates the message of that, and I will participate in this because it communicates the message of that. But in truth, is never actually realizing that, oh, why am I participating in all these things? Is because I don't have an identity, or my identity is broken at the depth inside of me. And so what I'm actually doing is I'm externally seeking validation.
Yeah. And that's another, you can write that one down, externally seeking validation, because that's another story of my life.
Yeah. But, external validation seeking is similar to attachment style and is similar to ego. So all of those are kind of just nuances of the same thing.
It's all like one topic. It's all one big topic.
Yeah.
And it's just, when you look at it under this lens, it's external, it's seeking external validation. When you look at it the other lens, it's ego, which is, the same thing. Or what was the first one?
Attachment style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So how long? Oh, it's almost, we've been almost gone for almost, 40 minutes?
40 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. So one you get married or you start any relationship, even a dating relationship, whether or not it makes into the marriage or not, it will apply to that, already preset with your soul's purpose on this universe, which is working through your pain body, right? Working through the nuance of you. And so when you enter into a marriage, your partner is there to validate that or to bounce that off as a mirror, right?
Yeah. I would say that is the higher purpose of a intimate relationship.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that probably is the purpose. The main purpose is to help facilitate really what is personal growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But most of us, and hence the podcasts, are completely clueless that is why your partner's there.
Right. No, my partner's there because she makes me happy, or because I need someone to live with or be with. Or,
right. Yeah. And so your lack of self-awareness projects itself onto the relationship, whether it's a dating relationship or engagement or a marriage. And so you start off, like, I'm noticing people around us starting relationship with a direct exposing of their pain body.
Yeah.
Like how they start a relationship already has the essence.
Yeah.
Now, I'm well versed in pain body.
And it is easy.
It is easy for me.
It is easy to see other people's. It is easier for me to see someone else's than it is to see my own.
Yeah.
And I know that oftentimes seeing someone else's is probably a projection and a reflection of my own as well. But it is so much easier to see someone else's. And I almost have to go, wait, if I was standing on the sideline, if I could say my story out loud as if someone else is telling it to me,
mm-hmm.
then that helps a bit, because then it's like, oh.
Yeah. And I guess through all the digging I have done, I find it easier to see through yours, just because you and I are so close together and I know you so well.
Yeah.
But I still have a hard time seeing through mine. Right. And so because of that, but I'm so gung-ho about uncovering it,
right,
that I will
there's nobody more gung-ho about it than you.
So I will basically tear myself apart if I'm not seeing something. That is my approach. But I say this knowing that that is not like really anyone else.
Yeah.
Not as a self-prompting and pompous expression. Just realize that my approach to it is probably...
It's hardcore.
It's hardcore. And you don't have to be this hardcore.
Right. I'm not that hardcore.
No. Elliott's very passive about it. And I almost push him.
Yeah. Which I appreciate, even when I don't.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't have to be hardcore, right? Like, it doesn't have to be like life mission, or like life or death, which is the approach that I take, right? But that... So with me, the reason I do that is because in my process of self-discovery, you sooner or later realize that everything that is causing your relationship to fail, all your relationship, not just marriage, is the extent of your own self-lying, right?
Yeah.
You're lying to self.
Yeah.
And so when you realize that, and when it becomes extremely transparent that this is something that causing your relationship to fail, I almost see that as a like look, I see it as injustice to self, and then also injustice to everyone around me. Like, I no longer want to live the lie of self. I'm done. Like, right, I have spent, let's say, 30 years lying to myself and 20 years lying to you in our marriage. That is no longer a way I want to live. So the reason why I'm so gung-ho is because I'm done, right? I'm done with that portion of me.
Right. I mean, that's how I feel too.
No, so that the intensity on me is coming from there.
Yeah.
And you're just less intense.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah. So I guess on the rap part of it, that's the essence of the podcast, or that's the direction we're going. And I think it will be like that. Like we will have possibly a theme. We will have possibly an idea of what we want to talk about, but not necessarily right, it is not constructive in or scripted in any way. It's kind of more of a fluid discussion.
Yeah.
Of what we are.
It's basically what we do anyway.
Yeah.
Now in front of microphones.
Yeah. We already talked this way, but I guess in this case, it is more geared towards everybody else. So, in a sense that we would just get into the nuance of the story more so, as opposed to, have the brushstroke of like our personal knowledge. Yeah. So, but the goal is, I hope it's helpful, and it can save you from lifetime of not being yourself. Really, that's kind of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.